What about our old Buddha? Cold coffee? Oh, but guess what? He wasn't bothered by coffee. He wasn't bothered by coffee. He had no coffee. And how are we feeling when the light shines? Happy, warm. Welcome, everyone.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
So this morning, I'd like it if we could all begin by joining in the refuges. So if we could all stand up, please. So we're going to do the version, I go to the Buddha as my refuge, and then we'll be following with, I go to the Dharma and the Sangha each time. So please join along. I go
to the Buddha
as my refuge. I go to the Sangha as my refuge. I go to the Sangha as my refuge. Well done. So I'd ask now that if all the young people could come and sit around, and then we're going to sit for 1 minute in meditation, but you can come and do it right here. Please. Sorry. No, no. So we're going to sit for 1 minute of meditation. And at the end of our 1 minute, Mahum is going to ring the bell. And then I'd like you all to please put your hands in hot chung when you can't hear the bell anymore. Good. So this morning, I want to just introduce myself because maybe some of you don't know me and you've certainly never seen me up here before, even if you do. So my name is Wan Cho, and I'm just going to be here for a little while. And I'm going to tell you a story about what happened the morning after the Buddha had sat all night and come into his enlightenment and discovered the Great Way. So this is the next thing that happened the next morning. And I'm going to be reading from a book called Old Path, White Cloud, and it was written by Thich Nhat Hanh. And it's the stories throughout the Buddha's life. And the name of this story is The Tangerine of Mindfulness. Can everyone hear me? Yeah?
Yep.
Great. Chapter 19, Tangerine of Mindfulness. When Leah brought Siddhartha's, one more thing. Before the Buddha became the Buddha, who knows what his name was? What is it? That's right. Thank you. We needed that. Okay. When Leah brought Siddhartha's food that noon, she found him sitting beneath the pipala tree, as beautiful as a young morning. His face and body radiated peace, joy, and equanimity. She had seen him sitting solemnly and majestically beneath the pipala tree over 100 times, and yet today there was something different about him. Looking at Siddhartha, Leah felt all her sorrows and worries vanish. Happiness as fresh as a spring breeze filled her heart. She felt there was nothing else she needed or wanted on this earth, that everything in the universe was already good and beneficial, and that no one needed to worry or despair anymore. Leah took a few steps forward and placed the food before Siddhartha. She bowed before him. She felt the peace and joy within Siddhartha enter herself. Siddhartha smiled at her and said, "Here, sit down with me. I thank you for bringing me food and water these past months. Today is the happiest day of my life because last night I found the great way. Please enjoy this happiness too. In the near future, I will go teach this path to all others." Leah looked up with surprise. "You will be going? You mean you will leave us?" Siddhartha smiled kindly. "Yes, I must leave, but I won't abandon you children. Before I leave, I will show you the path I have discovered." Leah was not very reassured. She wanted to ask him more, but he spoke first. "I will remain with you children for at least several more days in order to share what I have learned with you. Only then will I take to the road. But that doesn't mean I will be apart from you forever. From time to time, I will return to visit you children." Leah felt comforted. She sat down and opened the banana leaf to reveal the offering of rice. She sat silently at Siddhartha's side as he ate. She watched as he broke off pieces of rice and dipped them in the sesame salt. Her heart was filled with inexpressible happiness. When he finished eating, Siddhartha asked Leah to return home. He said he wanted to meet with the village children that afternoon in the forest. Many children came, including Aruna's brother and sister. The boys had all bathed and put on clean clothes. The girls wear their loveliest saris. Leah's sari was ivory colored. Martha wore a sari of a color of banana shoes, and Bhima's sari was pink. The children looked as fresh and colorful as flowers, and sat around Siddhartha beneath the pipala tree. Leah brought a basket full of coconut and chunks of palm sugar as a special treat. The children scooped out the tasty coconut meat and ate it with the delicious sugar. Arthur and Tillman brought a basket of tangerines. Siddhartha sat with the children, his happiness complete. Rowan offered him a chunk of coconut with a piece of palm sugar on a pipala leaf. Arthur offered him a tangerine. Siddhartha accepted their offering and ate with the children. They were still enjoying their lunch when Leah made an announcement. "Dear friends, today is the happiest day our teacher has ever known. He has discovered the great way. I feel this is also a very important day for me. Brothers and sisters, let us consider this day of great jubilation for us all. We are here today to celebrate the enlightenment of our teacher. Respected teacher, the great path has been found. We know you cannot stay with us forever. Please teach us the things you think we might be able to understand." Leah joined her palms together and bowed. Siddhartha to express her devotion. Artha and the other children also joined their palms and bowed with the deepest sincerity. Siddhartha quietly gestured for the children to pick back up, and he said, "You are all intelligent children, and I am sure you'll be able to understand and practice the things I will share with you. The great path I have discovered is deep and subtle, but anyone willing to apply his or her heart and mind can understand and follow." When you children peel a tangerine, you can eat it with awareness or without awareness. What does it mean to eat a tangerine in awareness? When you are eating the tangerine, you are aware that you are eating the tangerine. You fully experience its lovely fragrance and sweet taste. When you peel the tangerine, you know that you are peeling the tangerine. When you remove a slice and put it in your mouth, you know that you are removing a slice and putting it in your mouth. When you experience the lovely fragrance and sweet taste of the tangerine, you are aware that you are experiencing the lovely taste and sweet fragrance of the tangerine. The tangerine Artha offered me had 9 sections. I ate each morsel in awareness and saw how precious and wonderful it was. I did not forget the tangerine, and thus the tangerine became something very real to me. If the tangerine is real, the person eating it is real. That is what it means to eat a tangerine in awareness. Children, what does it mean to eat a tangerine without awareness? When you are eating a tangerine, you do not know that you are eating a tangerine. You do not experience the lovely fragrance and sweet taste of the tangerine. When you peel the tangerine, you do not know that you are peeling the tangerine. When you remove a slice and put it in your mouth, you do not know that you are removing a slice and putting it in your mouth. When you smell the fragrance of the tangerine, you do not know that you are smelling the fragrance of the tangerine. Eating a tangerine in this way, you cannot appreciate its precious and wonderful nature. If you are not aware that you are eating the tangerine is not real. If the tangerine is not real, the person eating the tangerine is not real either. Children, that is eating a tangerine without awareness. Children, eating the tangerine in mindfulness means that while eating the tangerine, you are truly in touch with it. Your mind is not chasing after thoughts of yesterday or tomorrow, but is dwelling fully in the present moment. The tangerine is truly present. Living in mindful awareness means to live in the present moment, your mind and body dwelling in the very here and now. A person who practices mindfulness can see things in the tangerine that others are unable to see. An aware person can see the tangerine tree, the tangerine blossom, in the spring, the sunlight and rain which nourished the tangerine. Looking deeply, one can see 10,000 things which have made the tangerine possible. Looking at a tangerine, a person who practices awareness can see all the wonders of the universe and how all things interact with one another. Children, our daily life is just like a tangerine. Just as a tangerine is comprised of sections, each day is comprised of 24 hours. 1 hour is like one section of tangerine. Living all 24 hours of a day is like eating all the sections of a tangerine. The path I have found is the path of living each hour of the day in awareness. Mind and body always dwelling in the present moment. The opposite is to live in forgetfulness. If we live in forgetfulness, we do not know that we are alive. We do not fully experience life because our mind and body are not dwelling in the here and now. Siddhartha looked at Leah and said her name. Yes, teacher. Leah joined her palms. Do you think a person who lives in awareness will make many errors or few? Respected teacher, a person who lives in awareness will make few errors. My mother always tells me that a person should pay attention to how they walk, stand, speak, laugh, and work in order to avoid thoughts, words, and actions that might cause sorrow to herself or others. Just so that a person who lives in awareness knows what she is thinking, saying, and doing. Such a person can avoid thoughts, words, and actions that cause suffering for herself and others. Children, living in awareness means to live in the present moment. One is aware of what is taking place within oneself and in one's surroundings. One is in direct contact with life. If one continues to live in such a way, one will be able to deeply understand oneself and one's surroundings. Understanding leads to tolerance and love. When all beings understand one another, they will accept and love one another. Then there will not be much suffering in the world. What do you think? Can people love if they are unable to understand? Respected teacher, without understanding love is most difficult. It reminds me of something that happened to my sister, Andy. One night, she cried long until my sister, Roro, lost her patience. That only made Andy cry more. I picked up Andy and sensed that she was feverish. I was sure her head ached from the fever. I called Roro and told her to place her hand on Andy's forehead. When she did that, she understood at once why Andy was crying. Her eyes softened, and she took Andy into her arms and sang to her with love. Andy stopped crying, and even though she had a fever, respected teacher, I think that was because Roro understood why Andy was upset. And so I think that without understanding, love is not possible. Just so, Aruna, love is possible only when there is understanding, and only with love can there be acceptance. Practice living in awareness, children, and you will deepen your understanding. You will be able to understand yourselves, other people, and all things, and you will have hearts of love. That is the wonderful path I have discovered. Aruna joined her palms. Respected teacher, could we call this path the path of awareness? Siddhartha smiled. Surely, we can call it the path of awareness. I like that very much. The path of awareness leads to perfect awakening. Leah joined her palms and asked permission to speak. You are the awakened one, the one who shows how to live in awareness. Can we call you the awakened one? Siddhartha nodded. That would please me very much. Leah's eyes shone. She continued, awake in Magdahi is pronounced Bud. A person who is awakened would be called Buddha. We will call you the Buddha. Siddhartha nodded. All the children were delighted. Brian, the oldest boy in the group, spoke. Respected Buddha, we are very happy to receive your teaching on the path of awareness. Leah has told me how you have meditated beneath this papala tree for the past 6 months, and how just last night you attained great awakening. Respected Buddha, this papala tree is the most beautiful one in the whole forest. Can we call it the tree of awakening, the Bodhi tree? The word Bodhi shares the same root as the word Buddha, and also means awakening. Siddhartha nodded his head. The Buddha nodded his head. He was delighted too. He had not guessed that during this gathering, the children, the path, himself, and even the great tree would all receive special names. Arthur joined his palm. It is growing dark, and we must return to our homes, but we will come back to receive more of your teaching soon. The children all stood and joined their palms like lotus buds to thank the Buddha. They strolled home, chattering like a flock of happy birds. The Buddha was happy too. He decided to stay in the forest for a longer period of time in order to explore ways to best sow the seeds of awakening and to allow himself as well special time to enjoy the great peace and joy that attaining the path.
Thank you, Juancho. And now all 9 kids and their parents are going to go over to the Sangha house. All the kids are going to be in the Sangha house today. And once you get to your places, the Bodhisattva of crafts and tangerines will deliver crafts and tangerines to you. So the kids that are 5 and younger will go with Sopa. Sopa, raise your hand. And you guys will be in the downstairs room in the Sangha house where you usually are. The kids that are 6 to 8 are going to go with Gakul and Saram. And you guys today are going to be in the sewing room, which is also downstairs in the Sangha house. And the oldest group, the kids that are 9 and up, are going to be with Ilja and myself. And we are going to be in the conference room, Sangha house conference room, where we will receive our tangerines and crafts. And then the parents are going to go with Mosamsam, and they're going to be in the library of the historic temple. Anyone have questions about where to go? And as we go out, we'll chant Ma'um like a flock of happy birds. Ma'um, Ma'um, Ma'um. Ma'um, Ma'um.
The adults who are remaining, please stand up and then come and fill in the math questions that touch the carpet. So let's move forward a bit so we're together as a group. Let's go ahead and just do a little stretching. Whatever feels good to you. And then sit down again. We'll be doing 20 minutes of meditation together.
everybody like the original mindful community. Yep, that is a good idea. I thought this is beautiful, actually. No, but I love the different kinds of meditation. Oh, okay. It's so funny, I was thinking through, I was like, that actually in the reading, it wasn't, you know, that it was like some other foods. Yeah, I was thinking about all the. Yeah, there you go.
Please join me in some mindful stretching. Well, good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Zen Buddhist Temple. Bill John, could you move the camera a little closer so those online
So they can see that?
can maybe hear better?
Okay.
Yeah. We'll also put on this microphone. Okay, there we go. How's it sound? Okay. So as you have probably surmised by the story that Wancho told us, our theme for the day is enlightenment. So this is a pretty auspicious time of year. It's been going on for about the past month, 6 weeks. So at the end of the year, we have this intensive retreat. And then that is followed by our New Year's Day service, our New Year's Eve and New Year's Day services, in which we sort of reflect, examine our lives, and make vows for the coming year. And then this past Friday and Saturday, we had our enlightenment sitting, which is an all-night sitting beginning at 8 p.m. On Friday evening and ending at 4 a.m. on Saturday. So Wancho's story picked up sort of at the end after the Buddha's enlightenment event and talked about how he was going to carry that enlightenment experience into everyday life. But let me sort of back up, give you a little context, and tell you a little about our services before we then engage in some discussion about what enlightenment might mean to us in everyday life. So when we read the enlightenment story, there are many versions out there, but many of them begin with a review of the life of the Buddha, which is important to know why. It gives you important background as to why he got to that point of sitting under a tree. So at age 29, he left home. So he had a very privileged life. Grew up in a castle, was very well protected. His parents did not want to expose him to anything unpleasant. They were cultivating him as a future ruler, and so they wanted to be sure that he had sort of a wonderful life. But at age 29, he decided to leave the castle grounds and go out into the world and see what was going on. So first he encountered an old man, and then he encountered a sick man, and then he encountered a dead man, and he had never seen these things before in his life. So it's very disturbing to him. And it was his first inkling that there was this suffering in the world. Then he encountered a wandering ascetic, a monk who seemed very much at peace. So inspired by that monk, he decided to leave home and become a wandering ascetic himself in search of an answer to his deepest question, which had arisen, is what is this suffering all about? And is there a way to bring the suffering to an end, not only for myself, but for everyone? So as he sat, he sat with some other ascetics for a while, and then decided that he wanted to just go and sit by himself under the Bodhi tree, a papaya tree. And it was during this time of singular sitting that he had this realization as to exactly what the way out of suffering could be. So when we do our enlightenment sitting, we break it into 3 sections to commemorate the 3 realizations that he had during his experience. So the 3 realizations were, first, it was a review of all of his past lives. And then second, it was a review of the past lives of all people. And the third was he is coming to the understanding of Four Noble Truths and the Eightfold Path. So Four Noble Truths being suffering exists, that we're the cause of our own suffering. The third is there is a way out of suffering. And the fourth is the way out is to follow the Eightfold Path, which consists of various ethical guidelines and guidelines regarding our meditation, mindfulness practice, and our view of the world. So we have from 8 to 10 was the first sitting that we did. From 10 to midnight was the second sitting. And then from midnight to 4 a.m. And when we do this sitting, we do it as a group. We sit silently. We have various people offering readings periodically throughout the night. I've been doing this sitting probably for about 20 years. And my overall experience is it's kind of a test of endurance to try to sit that long, to be alert that long, this kind of thing. But I do it because, A, I want to commemorate the work that the Buddha did, because the work that the Buddha did means a lot to me. And B, there's just something very special about sitting together in the wee hours of the night, sharing this quiet space together. It's not something I would like to do alone, so I'm very happy we do it as a group. Oftentimes in the wee hours of the morning, we will go outside. Nature offered us the gift of snow, and so at 2 a.m., a group went outside to shovel all the walks and salt the walks, and that was very nice. This year, I left the sitting just a little bit early, left at midnight instead of sticking around until 4. I think mainly out of respect to getting a little older, not sure I quite have the stamina anymore. So even though I felt like I was abandoning the group, it was not abandoning the group because I could see that everybody else was really committed to doing this. A very special retreat that we did. So that's the sort of the formal story about enlightenment and our enlightenment sitting. But really, this brings me more to the question of what is this enlightenment all about? And why is it important? Or why individually do I want to pursue this? And I think each of us needs to ask this question of ourselves. So if you think of individuals that you know are enlightened, for example, Thich Nhat Hanh, the book that we were reading from, or the Dalai Lama, or any of our famous Zen teachers, and individuals from other traditions as well. So, for example, Dipa Ma, or Amma, the hugging saint. These kinds of, you begin to realize that there's a lot of different expressions of enlightenment. So Thich Nhat Hanh, when he talks about enlightenment and waking up, what he's talking about is mindfulness. Eating those tangerines with full mindfulness, connecting with each other in a sense of full mindfulness so that you can see and help each other. The Dalai Lama when he is expressing enlightenment, may express it as compassion. So there is this story of the Dalai Lama on one of his tours, asking everybody from the hotel to come out and meet him on the front sidewalk. And then he went and he greeted each and every single person there. So all of the housekeepers, the garbage haulers, the drivers, every single person, just meeting them with this expression of caring and full compassion. Amma is a hugging saint. The enlightenment gets expressed as having this boundless sort of energy to give everybody love in their own way. Our Zen masters would say that enlightenment can be found in everyday life. We have this expression, everyday life is the way of the Buddha. The way of the Buddha is everyday life. So to me, that's kind of a hint as to enlightenment is about how we show up in the world and how we choose to engage. I like to think of enlightenment as more of a process rather than an end state. Recently we had a visit from a monk in Korea who had sort of this awakening experience, and he said, it doesn't last. And the Zen master who told me about it told me it wouldn't last. So you're in this state of bliss for maybe a couple of weeks, but then everyday life reemerges. So that points back to it's a process. We have to continue to do it sort of again and again. I was thinking about, so I'm going to define it for me just as enlightenment or enlightening is a process of waking up. And as I think about my daily life, what is it that I do when I wake up every morning? And actually, it's kind of a little metaphor for what waking up can be about. So in the morning, when I'm waking up, I end whatever dream that I am having. And then I open my eyes, sort of look around the room, get my bearings, and then slowly sort of get up. I greet the creatures that are around me. A cat usually sleeps in my room, so I greet the cat, care for the cat, and then often I am responsible for waking up the other beings in the household. So I go around with my mock talk, doing some chanting, waking the others up. So waking up no longer is just an individual endeavor. It's almost right away is about relationships that happen. Oftentimes I will take a moment just to look out my window, or if I'm going outside to do wake up, stop and look at the moon. That's a nice thing to do. One thing that I might add, that I might try in the future, it's just as I'm waking up to maybe make a little vow or say a little gata. I think Thich Nhat Hanh has a whole book of gatas, and one of them he has is opening my eyes this morning, waking up, 24 brand new hours lie ahead of me, and I vow to live each moment with openness and compassion. I'm paraphrasing, it's not quite like that. But that would be a wonderful way to start the day, just to sort of set an intention. So anybody who writes about enlightenment, Dale Wright being one, let's see, who's the other author I really liked. Can't locate it right now, but another teacher that I read, they really talk about enlightenment in terms of enlightenments in the plural, because there are so many ways to view it or to engage with it. Dale Wright in particular looks at it as a process of inquiry. And so for him, enlightenment means engaging in a reflective life. He asks deep questions. In our Zen tradition, the deep question that we ask in our meditation process is wadu. We call it wadu. And so typically it is, what is it? And so when we're sitting, concentrating, working with our minds, what is it? What is it? Again and again, an answer, a question to which there's no intellectual answer. And so we come then to process the world in a different way. But you can also ask deep questions about life. Two questions that Dale Wright asks are, number one, the way he has articulated it is, here it is. What does it mean for me to wake up? And his second question is, what does it mean for all of us to wake up? He also asks, what kind of life should I be living? How can I be awake in each moment? If all beings are Buddha, I'm a Buddha. So how should I be in this world? So you can come up with maybe your own version of this. Before the little time that's remaining today, maybe the next 10 minutes or so, I'm curious for you. We'll pass the microphone to whoever wants to join me. What does it mean to wake up? And also that second question, what does it mean for all of us to wake up? Who wants to be in the microphone?
I think for me, to wake up means to, in a sense, humble yourself. So, I have testing coming up. I'm a freshman in high school, so I've been worrying a ton about that. But recently, I don't do this often, but I got on the news. I saw all the things about the fire and the earthquake in Tibet. And it was a humbling experience, because it's like over the past week or so, I've been like, oh my God, I gotta study this test. It's gonna be really hard and stuff like that. And then you zoom out and you see all these different things that aren't exactly proportional to the current worries that we have in our everyday life. And it's interesting to see it and humble yourself. And I feel like, in a way, when the Buddha became enlightened, he humbled himself a bit. So, yeah, that's kind of my thing on it.
means to me to wake up is to realize that every part of it is a part of it. Before I would get frustrated by avenues of life. And recently I've just realized that's a new thing to work with. So just if things don't work out, I have this kind of changed perspective that there's a benevolent force that's working with me. And it's just kind of the acceptance of my getting better in trials or hardship allows me and the people around me to get better through their trials and hardship. And just trusting that it isn't about me, but I am a part of it. So it is my honor rather than a duty to face it honestly in the moment and to the best of my abilities.
I like the two words that came up today, like waking up and being alert to it, but it's really frustrating for me, and I don't know if anybody else can chime in with that, because there's a peeling back that happens and your awareness grows, but as soon as you're aware of it, you realize that you have more work to do. I don't know if that's, I don't know how to attribute a qualitative, like, is it good? Or am I just being more aware?
So recently, this past month, I fight wildfires for a living. So I was in Washington State, and I was driving home for the holidays, and it was a huge hassle because, I mean, Montana is very long, and so are the Dakotas. And I was just feeling very miserable about the whole thing. And then one day, I hit a patch of black ice, and I flipped my truck, and all of my belongings had just been sort of scattered in the ditch, and the sheriff's deputies were helping me pick it up, but like the truck was totaled, but somehow I walked away without a scratch. And so the sheriff's deputies gave me a ride into town, and I quickly realized that I actually only needed about 4 of the things that were in the truck. I needed my contact lenses, or my contact lens case, and the book I was reading, and my toothbrush, but all the stuff that was destroyed I didn't really need. And then that night, the guy who owned this motel I was staying at gave me a ride to the local bowling alley so I could get a meal and a beer, etc. And I saw on the TV, on the local news, that a woman had been killed on the same highway. She just lost control and died. And I looked into it, and it turned out that it happened like 6 hours after I spun out, and she was 34 days older than me. And after that, I realized that every minute of my life is a gift, and it's a gift that I received, and now she doesn't. And I feel like that was being awake. It's realizing all of a sudden that this isn't a burden I'm carrying, it's a gift.
Thank you, Mom, for the question. Again, to awaken or be enlightened, for me, is an immense amount of joy, peace, and freedom. Knowing that the sleeping dream and the waking dream is the same dream. They're not separate from one another. And I have awoken to that. And to live a life as an awakened human being is to live a life of someone who embodies universal principles in their everyday life. And this is what my teacher told me. He said, we find joy in all beings. And for all of us to awaken, that means we're living in a world of joy, peace, harmony, serenity, and love. So it's imperative that I stay awake. He said, young child, learn to master your words, master your thoughts, and master your body. He said, in all things, learn to be the master of what you say, do, think, and feel in every moment. He said, you are your only master. Who else could it be? And that meant that I'm continually mindful of what I say, do, think, and feel in every moment. And the joy is just immeasurable. I can't put words to it. You wake up with pure joy. Thank you.
So early on in my process of awakening, I learned that everything that we experience through our nervous system. And so there's no way that we can't process what's happening in our lives without it going through our nervous system. And I learned that when we're awake, physically awake, our prefrontal cortex comes online, and it's the story making part of our brains. So it kind of takes everything that's happening and tries to fit it into a story, a rhythm. And when we're asleep and we're dreaming, the prefrontal cortex goes offline, and the name of the system is escaping me, but there's another system that just kind of lets to cut loose and run wild. But it's that system that everything we experience goes through before it gets to the prefrontal cortex.
Default mode network.
Yes, thank you. Well, there's a like a physiological. It's connected to a. Yeah. Oh, yes. We're all. Yes, these are all components. And so I think for me, realizing that in a way we're always dreaming, awake or asleep, and we can understand what's happening in our lives by tapping into that dream that's always going on. And that's what awakening is for me, is being able to step back and look at myself and look at what's happening around me, and seeing how the dream is alive, and those around me are helping to act it out.
One of the things I associate with awakening is connecting. And there are various examples. You can dream and then you can connect with that dream from a second point of view. And you can also realize that you're part of this whole world. And the whole world is a wonderful place. We're not in outer space, we're here. And there's a lot of enjoyment to have yourself, enjoyment that other people are having. And to be a part of that and to be connected with it is really important from the most spectacular things. I don't know anything about the neurology, but to the things that are not so spectacular, like death or things that you automatically do because you've decided, as I always say, if I see a child running across the street that's going to be run over, I'm going to push the kid out of the way, even if I have to die to do that, because that's being a part of the world by helping other people as you can, and not being as you usually do when you're a kid. You're just only thinking about yourself versus the rest of the world. You're a part of the world. You're an important part of the world, as is every other part of the world.
I think waking up might mean giving up and trying to fix the moment. And naturally there'll be some problems that I want to solve or should solve in my life, but maybe I don't have to try to solve them all at once. And, maybe I don't need to play 12 steps ahead. Maybe I can just do the next right thing instead of trying to, I gotta change my oil and deal with that insurance thing and call this person, this, that. And it's like, no, I just have to change the oil. Actually, I just need to drive to the auto store and buy motor oil. And now it's a really cool bird, kind of chirping in the trees. Well, outside my window while I'm walking into the store, that sort of thing, I guess. Yeah, I'll leave it there.
I think lately I've been thinking a little bit about relationship to self, and all the different selves that we carry with us. So like our 5-year-old self, our 10-year-old self, our future selves that are also with us, and what it means to honor those selves and our ancestors when we wake up and approach the day. And I made a big move this year and have been further from my family than I've been all my life. And so I think about how to bridge that physical distance with a love that can just, go past that, and that I can feel their love and they can feel mine. And I think about the internal work that seems obvious of like, loving yourself, loving your younger selves, but also that there's work to do there, and there's a process of like what it means to wake up and listen and ask myself like, what can I do to what does it want? What do they want from this day, and how can I make that person within me happy? Yeah.
The process of enlightening, I like that, enlightening, for me is the light like slowly becoming brighter on things, that things come more into focus, there's more detail, you can look deeper, the tangerine at first is, over there and it's orange, and then it comes closer and closer and closer, and you open it up and you look closer and closer, and if you had a microscope, you could see more and more and more. It's like all of the pieces, you being able to see how everything is intertwined and connected. So it's also spanning out, getting bigger and bigger from, like somebody else mentioned, you're in your own kind of zone, and then you're getting bigger and bigger and being able to see more and more experiences of other people and other beings, and then the earth and the universe and larger. So like being able to connect and be part of all of those things simultaneously.
I think Ramdas said if you think you're enlightened, spend Thanksgiving with your family. So that's particularly true for me. I left home when I was 14. So this summer, from April 1st to April 12th, my divorced parents and I are doing a 10-day silent meditation course at the Vipassana Global Pagoda in Mumbai, which seats 8,000 people in the main hall. And it's an experiment in learning how to practice enlightening with people that I have historically had a lot of issues and resentments with. So I'll report back. It'll be in silence, that might be easier.
So thank you so much for sharing all your wisdom. We learn together, and this is how we wake up together, really, is by having times like this that we can share our stories, our experience, our perspectives. So continue with everybody, let's all continue with our journeys. We have reached the end of our time, so I'm going to then ask Kayla, I think, is doing announcements. And once Kayla is finished, just a reminder that there's s'mores and kids in the backyard.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Zen Temple in Maui. I learned so much from you just now. There's so many amazing stories from all of you. So who's here for the first time? Oh, that's actually a lot of people, right? Welcome. Yeah, we made some tea outside. If you'd like some, you can stop for it before we head to the all of the fun stuff. Yeah, there is a lot of programming, temple programming in the winter. So you can visit the event sign up area. So that's like outside, right? The papers. Yeah, one of them is the embodied Heart Sutra practice, which will happen on Monday, January 20, from 7 to 8:30 p.m. And the Heart Sutra is a very important text in Mahayana and the subsequent Zen schools. Yeah, it's all about emptiness, and basically that it defines emptiness as the interrelation of all things, right? I think it says in emptiness, all the six sense organs and all the six sense objects are not separate entities, and so on. Yes, that would be really cool. There's also meditation classes here. I think there's like a 5-week version. So we would go like 2 hours instruction per week from 6:30 to 8:30 on Thursdays. And there is a course that it begins on January 9, right? So what is this like?
It's already started, but
yeah.
You could still join if you wanted to.
And yeah, there's also the what is it? The 2025 is the year of the wood snake. Anything you can say about that? It's like it says the wood snake represents imagination and creativity. I don't even know what a wood snake is.
Your assignment is to find out.
We'll do my research. And there's also yoga classes every Tuesday from 6:30 to 8 with David Black. Well, I hear good things about. I have not come to this class, but I hear good things. And it's $12 per person for each session, or $60 for 6 sessions. And then just like today, there's the family service every second Sunday of the month. And every Saturday, there is, from 3 to 5, there's like a work practice opportunity. Yeah, so you can come here. I don't know how much we do in the snow.
There's always work.
There's also, of course. But I enjoy it a lot in the summer and the spring and fall, like gardening and working around here is pretty cool. And then we have like some tea and snacks and all that. That's pretty cool. And there is an evening sitting for the Sangha every Wednesday from 6:30 to 8:30 p.m. All Sangha members are encouraged to come to the temple. Yeah. And there is also the Recovery Dharma.
Recovery Dharma will meet at noon today in the historic Buddha Hall Library, big yellow building next door.
Yeah, thanks so much, John. Anything important to mention?
Just a few more words about inviting heart-centered practice. It will be a group chanting, and it's occurring on a pretty auspicious day because it's Martin Luther King Day, and it is also Inauguration Day. So it's a chance for everyone to sort of connect in a new, deeper way.
Yeah, I think those events are MT unrelated. Thank you very much for joining all of us here this morning. And the temple is entirely supported by your generous donations of time and money. So there is there work practice after this?
Not today.
Not today, but there is a fishbowl and kind of credit debit card thing outside as well. Thank you very much.
Okay, so let's please stand. And if your mat and cushion is touching the carpet, carefully straighten your mat and cushion. Actually, we can all do that. And then as we leave the room, we'll put some of them on. For now, just straighten them. And then facing the altar, let's do 3 formal bows to end our service. And then I ask your assistance with putting away mats and cushions. So on this side of the room, the mats or cushions go on the stage. On this side of the room, they go in the back corner and also on the shelves.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, I was like 2.5 hours north of Wenatchee. So it's like out there. Well, I'm from here, but what I like to say is it's not a bad place to be from. But like, I like mountains. I like wide open spaces, that sort of thing. And also they don't really have wildfires right here, so. I'm back here for the foreseeable future, but I'm still talking to some places about where I'll work this next year. I might be Oregon, maybe Colorado, because they're firing. Yeah. The USA Jobs website. Yeah, like after a while, it just becomes like, look, if you don't care enough to, yeah, like people want to work for you. Yeah. Yes, I know there are mountains in the Upper Peninsula. I spent a lot of time on the peninsula.
Those are not like the same words, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so like where I was living, it was like, we were at 2,000 feet, and even drive was like desolation. It's like an hour away, that's like, 13,000. I just love the topography, it's nice that the landscape makes more sense that way, because I'm just valleys, and you just kind of follow the valley, and then that's where you're going, and everything's flat. Yeah. Yeah. And so weirdly, there's a big Tibetan monastery there, and a lot of the